something, you'll always be able to. If you don't keep your hand in, then before long that backslides. And that can be in study, it can be in work. And if you want to take it one step further, it can even apply to relationships as well. If you look at your notes again, you'll see what's known as 2 filters which you can use to see how you measure up as a friend to other people in relationships. In previous weeks we talked about the 4 bases of sympathy, how well you do in helping out people with the things which they are lacking, whether it be resources, encouragement, a helping hand, or the ability to be someone who's trusted. If you want to go further than that, in fact you can see how well you do as a friend to others. Because it's very easy to be the sort of person who's friends to a person only when it suits them, only when it's to their advantage. You know, if someone's rich and famous, then there's a swarm of people who will wander around after them everywhere, in case some of the success sort of is left at dregs on the side of the road, they can maybe brush off on them too. But if ever that person falls on hard times, then that sort of set of groupies will disappear quite quickly. Those are not really true friends. They're only in it to get advantages for themselves. And this shows us that some people who we might regard as our friends may not really be truly our friends. For example, some people may be only trying to associate with us or to be friends with us because they think they're going to get something out of it. This might be other people towards us, or it might be us towards other people. You can use this to sort of filter out your own habits as well. Are you only friends with a person because you think that by investing a little bit of your time, you're going to get something out of that person in the future? Or is it a very altruistic intention which you have towards that person? Is that person someone who flatters you towards your face but gossips about you behind your back? Or are you like that to other people? Like to compliment people to their faces but behind their back you gossip about them? You're a person who promises things to people but never comes up with the goods. Like to tell them about things which you might give them if you ever had the chance to give it to them. But of course that chance never comes around. Or are you a person who, by associating with other people, you ruin their lives in one way or another? This would be classified as a person who's not genuine in their relationship with another person, because every way in which they associate with someone else as a friend leads to some sort of damage happening to them. And they're more like a parasite than a friend. We'd say that a friend would not be a person with those qualities. That would be more like, if you've got friends like that, then who needs enemies? But a true friend is someone who will be helpful to you no matter what circumstances you find yourself in, for better or for worse. It's easy enough to be friends with someone when they're rich and famous, but suppose when they go bankrupt, would you still be their friend? Or would you find that damaged your ability to be friends with them anymore? Friend who once you could lean on their shoulder, if they lean on your shoulder, would you still be friends with them? A person who would be your friend through thick and thin. Sometimes we think as friends as people just there to sort of go along with anything which we like. But we'd say that a true friend is someone who looks out for you as well. If you do something which is reckless, a true friend is the one who would point these things out to you and not be afraid of criticizing you for your own good. That would be a true friend, rather than someone to say, oh, you've just let a person make the mess of their life without making any comment about it in case it upset them. And a sympathetic friend would be someone like, for example, wouldn't go spreading your secrets about. Or someone who saves up the best things to tell you. You know, good news, they save it up to tell you instead of telling you the same old boring things again and again. That would be a true friend.
Do you think then you should have less friends? So that you can be more sincere? You know what I mean? Because sometimes you are in danger of trying to be, sort of sincere to everyone, and then you do end up making empty promises and you're like, let's get together. And all those things you say with the best intentions, but you can't possibly do it. I mean, is it better to have fewer?
I think what I'm saying is that if quality is the important thing, and this is what I'm saying, that quality changes you as a person, whether it's quality in what you study, quality in what you do in your work, quality in the relationships you have, I think this would say that if it's not going to be something which comes out with quality, then it would be better to downsize. And I'm about to tell you exceptions, okay, to the rule, but generally speaking, if you want to transform yourself for the better as a person, then you need to make sure that everything you do, you're really working on intensively in a focused way. And if you think that there's some aspects of your life which you want to sweep under the carpet, then maybe you'd better not to be doing those things at all. Of course, all of this sounds like great ideals, and is a real person in the world who can actually live up to all of this or not? And I think, to be frank, that no one could achieve all of this. You're a person who goes to work and you've got colleagues who probably you don't actually have anything in common with. Maybe you've got members of your family who don't want to ever see their faces again. Does that mean that you're going to go out and be a true friend who would die in their place for some aunt who you don't even like? There are happy mediums, and I think what I'm going to leave you with today is the thought that for certain people it counts to really throw yourself wholeheartedly into a relationship where you do give it your full attention. But for other people, what can you do to maintain good relationships with them, but without having to go to that extent? You wouldn't want to sort of bankrupt yourself to help out waifs and strays off the street you've never met before. You wouldn't go to that extent. So you need to be able to distinguish between the people who you would want to devote more attention to, and the people who you keep a sort of, keep on good terms, but you wouldn't go out of your way really to help them unless it was a really exceptional case. And I think this thing which I've been promising to talk to you about not exhausting yourself, with your good intentions towards everyone, how can you sort of have quality in the things which you do in your life without exhausting yourself? The thing is that you need to focus on certain people, certain groups who have particular importance in your life, certain aspects of your work which perhaps is very influential. And there are exceptions to the case where people who you wouldn't throw yourself into a huge wouldn't really go out of your way to help. And it might be people who are not your immediate close family, people who maybe haven't done a great deal for you in the past. We talked about emotional bank accounts before. Some people you'd have a better or a healthier emotional bank account with than others. And maybe other people who you don't have a particularly strong connection with, would be lower down your list of priorities than those who, you really cherish as a friend. And the other thing is, which will lead on to what I talk about next week, people who you've tried to help in the past and who have been ungrateful for that. Maybe you've tried to help a person over and over again and they haven't responded. So you'd be better off maybe focusing on other people instead, who might be a little bit more responsive to all you've helped them with. So there is a degree of reciprocity as well in some of these relationships. If you feel that they're a bottomless pit where no matter how much you give, it sort of all disappears. There must be certain limits to where you draw the line and say, well, maybe I'd be better off helping someone else instead. So we try to have quality, but there may be certain people, certain areas, certain aspects of work or study where we'd say, for this, maybe I'll focus on that instead. And it's to do with making a distinction between sometimes who is your close family, who is your extended family, who are friends who you really feel that you want to cherish as friends, and who would be better off just as acquaintances, who you're on friendly terms with, but you wouldn't expect anything much from. Some people can have a lot of such friends, sort of have a sort of loose tie to hundreds of people, thousands of people even. Some people even collect, acquaintances. But I think the people who they count as their best friends or their true friends, who they really want to go out of their way to help, would be much fewer than that. And I think you'd have to give consideration to who you really think are your closest friends, the ones who really look out for you. The ones who, when you're not you're being reckless yourself, they look out for you in your own place. That would be someone who you'd really call a true friend in that situation. But I think the thing is, you can call these things filters if you like, to find out whether you are truly a good friend to others first of all. You'd be better off pointing the finger at yourself first to see what sort of friend you are like to other people first. And once you start to get a clearer picture of who you are and what sort of friend you are to other people, then perhaps try turning it backwards to see why other people are treating you in a certain way. These are just, in fact, headings. I can't go into all the details because there's for each of these headings there are more details as well. Anyone who's interested to read it, maybe I'll prepare it for you next week. But there's details about, for each of these headings, what a terrible friend is like and what a true friend is like in each of these. Maybe I'll prepare it for you next week. So next week we look more at what sort of ways we express friendship to people in different important groups who make a difference to our lives, and the ones who we might put on the outside of that. There will, but the monk who will be with you is called Venerable Burin, who is a real live Thai monk.
Oh.
So you may get some new things.
You speak English?
He does.
6 weeks to learn Thai.
Well, when I come back from Thailand, I'll be speaking it fluently. So.
Is he helpful, constant, sympathetic, and
He is all of those things, yes.
Are you off to Thailand soon as well?
I'll go next month for a few months, yeah. I've got some things which I need to help out with
Do
there.
you always come back here? We'll always see you from time to time.
Well, I hope so. But nothing is ever for certain, is it? But I have tried to sort of put down a lot of roots here so I can come back. But
This temple is your English home, Kat?
monks don't have a home anymore.
Right?
This is the thing which makes it difficult to say anything for sure. But I've tried to put down as many roots as I can. So it increases the probability I'll be back by July. So that's all, folks. I do.
Yeah, I mean a lot of it's in Thai, but there are some English leaflets.
Yeah, and then the weekend after I'm going some months out.
Oh, that's just your code. Yeah.
Well, if you've got to say, if you tell me on the Tuesday, yeah, that's the way it is. I quite like to come to the classes. Oh, yeah. I couldn't actually last week when I couldn't come, but it was such a beautiful day. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes, yes. And so next one I'll be on Tuesday the 10th.
Yeah, it's Cheerio.
Teddy bears.